The warning lights flashed red across the bridge of the mining vessel Aurora. Leo wiped his hands on his engineer uniform and looked at the main screen. A massive alien ship drifted slowly toward the dying star ahead of them. "That's a Zephyrian warship," Captain Brooks said. His voice was tight with worry. "What's it doing here?" Leo studied the readings on his tablet. The ship was huge, at least 10 times bigger than their mining vessel. But something was wrong. "Captain, their engines are dead. The ship is falling into the star." "Not our problem," Brooks replied quickly. "The Zephyrians barely tolerate us humans in this sector. We're not getting involved." But Leo kept watching the screen. The alien ship was beautiful, with smooth silver curves and glowing blue lines along its hull. Now those lights were flickering and going dark one by one. "Sir, there might be people alive on that ship." "Aliens," Brooks corrected. "And they probably have escape pods. Change course away from that star." Leo's hands moved over his control panel. The scan results made his stomach drop. "Captain, I'm reading life signs. Multiple beings still aboard. Their escape pods launched, but some are still there. Then they chose to stay." "Not our business, Leo." The young engineer stared at the screen. He thought about his sister back on Earth who always said people should help each other, no matter what. The Zephyrians might not like humans, but they were still living beings. "Permission to take a maintenance pod for a closer look." "Permission denied. We're leaving." Leo watched the alien ship drift closer to the star. The gravitational pull was getting stronger. In maybe 30 minutes, the ship would be too close to escape. Anyone still aboard would die. He made his decision. Leo slipped away from the bridge while Captain Brooks was talking to the navigation crew. He moved quickly through the corridors to the pod bay. His heart was beating fast, but his hands were steady as he prepared the small maintenance pod. The pod was designed for minor repairs on the outside of ships. It had basic life support, some tools, and not much else. It definitely was not built for rescue missions inside alien warships. Leo climbed into the pilot's seat and started the launch sequence. The pod bay doors opened, and he flew out into space. Behind him, he heard Captain Brooks shouting over the radio. "Leo! Get back here right now. That's a direct order." "Sorry, Captain," Leo replied. "I can't leave people to die." He cut the radio connection and flew toward the Zephyrian ship. Up close, it was even more impressive. The hull was made of some kind of metal that seemed to glow with its own light. But now that glow was fading, and Leo could see cracks and holes where something had damaged the ship badly. He found an opening near what looked like a docking bay. The pod barely fit through the gap. Inside the ship, emergency lights cast strange shadows on the walls. The air was thin and filled with smoke. Leo put on his breathing mask and grabbed his tool kit. The corridors were wide and tall, built for beings larger than humans. Strange symbols covered the walls, probably directions in the Zephyrian language. He followed his scanner toward the strongest life signs. The readings led him deeper into the ship, past rooms full of equipment he didn't recognize. Some areas were completely dark where the power had failed. The scanner beeped louder as he got closer. Leo turned a corner and found a set of large doors that were partially open. Inside was a huge room with high ceilings and walls covered in beautiful patterns. This looked important, maybe the captain's quarters or something similar. And there, trapped under a fallen beam near the back of the room, was an alien. Leo had never seen a Zephyrian up close before. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, with pale blue skin that had a slight shimmer. Her hair was white and moved slightly even in the still air, as if it had a life of its own. She wore a form-fitting suit that was definitely not a regular uniform. The material looked expensive and had gold trim around the edges. Her eyes opened when she heard Leo enter. They were large and completely purple, with no white parts like human eyes. When she saw him, those eyes went wide with surprise. "Human," she said in perfect English. Her voice was musical, even though she sounded weak. "What are you doing here?" Leo set down his tools and looked at the beam pinning her legs. It was made of the same glowing metal as the ship's hull, but it was dark now and very heavy. "I'm here to help. Can you move your legs?" She tried and winced with pain. "No. The beam damaged my suit. The atmosphere in here is becoming toxic for my people." Leo checked his scanner. She was right. Some kind of gas was leaking into the room from the damaged walls. His human lungs could handle it for a while, but it would probably kill a Zephyrian quickly. "Where did your people go?" Leo asked as he examined the beam. "The Royal Guard evacuated when the ship began failing," she said. There was something bitter in her voice. "They followed proper protocol." "Royal Guard?" Leo looked at her more carefully. The expensive suit, the fancy room, the way she carried herself despite being trapped. "Are you important?" She smiled, and Leo noticed her teeth were slightly pointed. "I am Queen Nira of the Zephyrian Empire." Leo's hand stopped moving. He was talking to actual alien royalty. The queen of the most powerful empire in this part of the galaxy. And she was trapped under a beam while her own guards had abandoned her. "Well, Your Majesty," Leo said, getting back to work, "let's get you out of here." He pulled out his plasma cutter, a tool designed for slicing through damaged ship parts. The Zephyrian beam was incredibly strong, much harder than human metals. But Leo had been working with stubborn materials his whole career. "Your tool cannot cut through Zephyrian hull metal," Queen Nira said. "Our best technology could not move this beam." "Maybe not," Leo said, starting up the cutter, "but I'm not Zephyrian." He began cutting at an angle, not trying to go straight through the beam. Instead, he cut a series of deep grooves along its length. The metal was tough, but every material had weak points. Leo had learned that fixing broken mining equipment back home. Queen Nira watched with fascination as Leo worked. "Why are you helping me? Your people and mine are not allies." Leo paused in his cutting. "Because it's the right thing to do. People shouldn't die alone if someone can prevent it." "People?" Queen Nira tilted her head. "I am Zephyrian. You are human. We are different species." "Still people," Leo said, going back to his work. "Still deserve help when they need it." The Queen was quiet for a moment. "This concept is foreign to me." Leo finished his cuts and pulled out a small explosive charge from his toolkit. It was meant for breaking apart big chunks of rock, but it might work here too. He placed it carefully in one of the grooves he had cut. "You might want to cover your head," he warned. The explosion was small but precise. The beam cracked along Leo's cuts and broke into several pieces. None of them were small enough to move easily, but now there was space between them. Leo grabbed Queen Nira under her arms and carefully pulled her free from the wreckage. She was heavier than a human woman would be, but not too heavy for him to carry. "Can you walk?" he asked. She tried to stand but her legs buckled. "No. The beam damaged more than just my suit." Leo looked at his scanner. The toxic gas was getting thicker, and his readings showed the ship was getting closer to the star. They were running out of time. Without hesitation, Leo picked up Queen Nira in his arms. She was surprised and tried to protest, but he was already moving toward the door. "This is not proper," she said. "Royalty should not be carried like a child. Would you rather burn up in a star?" Leo asked, jogging through the corridors with her in his arms. Queen Nira considered this. "No." They reached Leo's maintenance pod just as another section of the ship's hull cracked open. The pod was really only designed for one person, but Leo managed to get both of them inside. Queen Nira had to sit very close to him in the tiny space. Leo started the engines and flew the pod out through the hole in the ship's hull. Behind them, the beautiful Zephyrian warship fell toward the star and was consumed by fire and light. They flew back to the Aurora in silence. Queen Nera kept staring at Leo with those purple eyes, as if trying to solve a puzzle. "What is your name, human?" she finally asked. "Leo. Leo." She said it carefully, like she was testing how it sounded. "You have done something unprecedented. I helped someone who needed help." "That's not unprecedented." "It is for my people," Queen Nera said quietly. When they reached the Aurora, Captain Brooks was waiting in the pod bay with the ship's medical team. His face was red with anger, but when he saw Queen Nera, his expression changed to shock and worry. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing awkwardly. "We had no idea you were aboard that vessel." "Because you did not check," Queen Nera replied as the medical team helped her onto a stretcher. Her purple eyes never left Leo's face. Only this human cared enough to look. As they took Queen Nera to the medical bay, Leo stood alone in the pod bay. Captain Brooks walked over to him. "Do you realize what you've done?" Brooks asked. "You disobeyed direct orders and nearly got yourself killed." Leo nodded. "Yes, sir." "You also just saved the Queen of the Zephyrian Empire." Leo shrugged. "Yes, sir." Captain Brooks shook his head. "I don't know whether to court-martial you or recommend you for a medal." Leo looked toward the medical bay where the alien queen was being treated. "I just did what felt right." He had no idea that his simple act of kindness was about to change everything between humans and Zephyrians forever. 3 weeks had passed since Leo rescued Queen Nera from her burning ship. The Aurora had continued its mining mission while the alien queen recovered in their medical bay. The ship's doctor, Sarah, had worked day and night to understand Zephyrian biology and help heal the queen's injuries. Leo visited the medical bay every day to check on Queen Nera's progress. At first, she had been weak and needed constant care. But Zephyrians healed much faster than humans. By the second week, she was walking around and asking many questions about human customs and behavior. "Your people are very strange," Queen Nera told Leo during one of his visits. She was sitting by the medical bay window, looking out at the stars. "Your doctor refuses any payment for her services. Your captain brings me food from his own meals. And you continue to visit me even though you gain nothing from it." Leo sat down across from her. "That's just how humans are. We help each other." "But why?" Queen Nera's purple eyes focused on his face. "What do you gain from helping someone who cannot help you in return?" "It makes us feel good to help others," Leo explained. "And sometimes people need help for no reason except that they're people." Queen Nera was quiet for a long moment. "In my empire, all actions have purpose. We do not waste energy on those who cannot provide benefit." "That sounds lonely," Leo said. The queen looked surprised. "Lonely? I rule over billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. How could I be lonely?" Leo wasn't sure how to explain it, so he changed the subject. "When do you think your people will come looking for you?" "Soon," Queen Nera said. "They will have noticed that my ship never returned. A rescue fleet is probably already on its way." She was right. 2 days later, the Aurora's sensors detected a massive formation of ships approaching their position. Captain Brooks called all senior staff to the bridge, including Leo. 30 Zephyrian warships, the navigation officer reported. "They're requesting permission to approach." Captain Brooks looked nervous. "Give them permission. And someone wake up our diplomatic protocols. We're about to have some very important visitors." The largest Zephyrian ship was enormous, easily 5 times the size of Queen Nera's destroyed vessel. It moved with smooth grace despite its size, coming alongside the Aurora without making the smaller human ship feel threatened. Queen Nera had insisted on coming to the bridge for the meeting. She wore a new outfit that the ship's fabrication unit had made based on her specifications. It was simpler than her royal suit, but she still looked regal and commanding. A communication channel opened, and the main screen filled with the face of another Zephyrian. This one was male, with darker blue skin and silver hair. He wore elaborate armor and carried himself with military precision. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing his head. "I am Admiral Vex of the Royal Fleet. We have come to bring you home." "Admiral," Queen Nera nodded gracefully. "I am well, thanks to the humans aboard this vessel." Admiral Vex looked around the bridge of the Aurora with obvious distaste. "Humans," he said the word like it had a bad taste. "Your Majesty, we should depart immediately. This vessel is beneath your dignity." Leo felt his face get hot with anger, but Captain Brooks put a hand on his shoulder to keep him quiet. Queen Nera's expression grew cold. "Admiral, these humans saved my life when my own royal guard abandoned me. You will show them respect." Admiral Vex looked uncomfortable. "Of course, Your Majesty. We are grateful for their assistance. Shall I arrange payment for their services?" "Payment?" Queen Nera stood up slowly. "Admiral, do you understand what happened here? Your ship was destroyed, and these humans provided assistance until we could arrive," Admiral Vex said. "Standard diplomatic protocols suggest appropriate compensation." Queen Nera's eyes began to glow slightly, which Leo had learned meant she was getting angry. "Admiral, this human risked his own life to save mine. He entered a dying ship against direct orders from his superior. He carried me to safety with his own hands when my legs were injured. He asked for nothing in return." Admiral Vex looked confused. "I do not understand, Your Majesty." "According to the ancient laws of our people," Queen Nera said in a voice that carried across the bridge, "any being who saves a royal life with no expectation of reward becomes bonded to that royal forever. The life debt can only be satisfied through marriage and eternal service." The bridge of the Aurora went completely silent. Leo felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. "Your Majesty," Captain Brooks said carefully, "I think there might be some misunderstanding." Queen Nera turned her purple eyes to Leo. "Leo of Earth, you saved my life at great personal risk. According to Zephyrian law, you are now bonded to me. You will return to my empire as my consort and husband. We will be married according to royal tradition." Leo's mouth opened and closed several times before any words came out. "I'm sorry, what?" "It is a great honor," Admiral Vex said, though he didn't look like he believed it. "To be chosen by our queen is the highest possible privilege." "But I didn't choose anything," Leo protested. "I just helped someone who needed help. That doesn't mean I want to get married." Queen Nera looked puzzled. "Want? Your desires are irrelevant. The law is clear." "Human law is different," Captain Brooks said quickly. "Our people choose their own marriage partners based on love and personal compatibility." "Love?" Queen Nera said the word like she was trying to understand a foreign concept. "What does emotion have to do with bonding? Marriage is a legal contract between individuals for mutual benefit." Leo stood up, feeling panic rise in his chest. "Your Majesty, I'm honored that you think I'd make a good husband, but I can't marry someone I barely know. Humans need time to build relationships and understand each other before we make that kind of commitment." Queen Nera's expression grew dangerous. "Are you refusing a royal decree?" "I'm trying to explain that humans work differently than Zephyrians," Leo said. "We can't just decide to get married because a law says so." Admiral Vex stepped forward on the screen. "Your Majesty, perhaps this human does not understand the honor being offered to him." "I understand perfectly," Leo said, getting frustrated. "But understanding and agreeing are two different things." Queen Nera stood up to her full height, which made her tower over everyone on the bridge. "Leo of Earth, you will accompany me to the Zephyrian capital world. We will be married within one lunar cycle according to royal tradition. This is not a request." "And if I refuse?" Leo asked. Queen Nera's eyes grew very bright. "Then you insult my honor and the honor of my empire. Such insults require response." What kind of response? Captain Brooks asked nervously. Admiral Vex answered with a cold smile. The destruction of all human settlements in this sector would be appropriate. Perhaps the quarantine of your entire species until proper respect is learned. The bridge went silent again. Leo felt sick. His simple act of helping someone was about to start a war. Your Majesty, Leo said quietly, you would really hurt innocent people just because I won't marry you? You created the bond when you saved my life, Queen Nera replied. The consequences of breaking that bond are not my choice. They are law. Leo looked around the bridge at his fellow humans. Captain Brooks looked terrified. The other officers were staring at their control panels, afraid to make eye contact. Everyone was thinking the same thing. The Zephyrian Empire had thousands of ships and could easily destroy every human colony in space. How much time do I have to decide? Leo asked. There is nothing to decide, Queen Nera said firmly. You will come with me now. Your Majesty, Dr. Sarah spoke up from the back of the bridge. Leo needs time to prepare for such a big change. In human culture, we have ceremonies and traditions before marriage. Could you give him a few days to get ready? Queen Nera considered this. Very well. 3 days to prepare whatever human customs are required. But then Leo returns with me to my empire. Admiral Vex nodded approvingly. A wise compromise, Your Majesty. After the communication ended and the Zephyrian fleet moved to a respectful distance, the bridge erupted in worried conversation. Leo stood in the middle of it all, feeling overwhelmed. Captain Brooks pulled Leo aside. I'm sorry, son. We can't fight the entire Zephyrian Empire to protect one person. I know, Leo said. I wouldn't ask you to. Maybe it won't be so bad, Dr. Sarah said hopefully. Queen Nera seems to respect you. Leo thought about his conversations with the Queen over the past 3 weeks. She was intelligent and not cruel, but she clearly didn't understand humans at all. To her, marriage was just a legal arrangement. She had no concept of love or choosing to be with someone because you wanted to build a life together. That night, Leo couldn't sleep. He walked through the corridors of the Aurora, thinking about his life on Earth. He had planned to work in space for a few years and then return home to start a family. Now he was supposed to marry an alien queen he barely knew and live in an empire where emotions were considered weakness. He found himself outside the medical bay where Queen Nera was staying. The door was open, and he could see her standing by the window again, looking out at the stars. You cannot sleep either, she said without turning around. Leo stepped into the room. I keep thinking about my sister back on Earth. She's getting married next year to someone she's loved for 3 years. They chose each other. Choice, Queen Nera said thoughtfully. You humans speak of this often. Because it's important to us, Leo said. The choice to help others, the choice to love someone, the choice to build a life with another person. These choices make us who we are. Queen Nera turned to face him. In my empire, choices are made by logic and law. Personal desires create chaos. Maybe, Leo said. But they also create happiness. Queen Nera studied his face. You are not happy about our bonding. No, Leo said honestly. I'm not. For the first time since he met her, Queen Nera looked uncertain. But you saved my life. The law is clear about what that means. Your law, Leo said. Not mine. Queen Nera was quiet for a long time. Finally, she asked, what would make you happy? The question surprised Leo. I don't know. Getting to know you as a person first, maybe. Understanding what kind of life we would have together. Being partners instead of just following a law. Partners, Queen Nera repeated slowly. Like equals. Yes. Queen Nera turned back to the window. That is not how my people think about marriage. Leo joined her at the window, looking out at the Zephyrian fleet in the distance. Maybe that's something that could change. The next morning, Leo made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. He found Queen Nera in the observation deck of the Aurora, watching her fleet of warships through the large windows. "Your Majesty," Leo said, "I want to make a deal with you." Queen Nera turned around, her purple eyes curious. "What kind of deal?" "You said I have 3 days to prepare for marriage. I want to use that time to show you something important about humans. If you still want to marry me after that, I'll come with you willingly." Queen Nera tilted her head. "What could you possibly show me that would change anything? The law is clear." "Maybe the law needs to understand what it's actually asking for," Leo said. "Will you trust me for 3 days?" The Queen considered this carefully. "And if I disagree with whatever you wish to show me?" "Then I honor the marriage law," Leo said. "But if you understand what I'm trying to teach you, maybe we can find a different solution." Queen Nera nodded slowly. "Very well. 3 days." Leo took a deep breath. "Then we're going to Earth." An hour later, Leo sat in the shuttle bay of Queen Nera's flagship, preparing for the fastest trip to Earth in human history. The Zephyrian ships were incredibly advanced, capable of covering distances that would take human vessels months to travel. Queen Nera had agreed to bring only a small escort. She sat across from Leo in the luxurious passenger compartment, wearing simpler clothes that looked more human than alien. Admiral Vex had protested loudly about the Queen traveling to a primitive human world, but she had overruled him. "Tell me about this place we are visiting," Queen Nera said as their ship jumped through hyperspace. "Earth is where humans come from," Leo said. "It's our homeworld. All our ideas about family, love, and choice started there. And you believe seeing this world will change my understanding of the bonding law?" Leo looked out the window at the swirling lights of hyperspace. "I think it will help you understand why humans can't just follow orders about who to love." They reached Earth in 6 hours, something that would have taken Leo's mining ship 3 weeks. As they approached the blue and green planet, Leo felt homesick in a way he hadn't expected. Queen Nera stared at Earth with wonder. "It is very blue. Lots of water," Leo explained. "Most life on Earth needs water to survive." They landed at the main spaceport near New Geneva, the capital city of Earth's united government. Leo had contacted his sister Maya before they left the Aurora, asking her to meet them there. She had been shocked to learn her brother was engaged to an alien queen, but she agreed to help. Maya was waiting for them at the spaceport entrance. She was shorter than Leo, with the same dark hair and kind eyes. When she saw Queen Nera, Maya's mouth opened in amazement. "She's beautiful," Maya whispered to Leo. Queen Nera heard her and looked puzzled. "Is physical appearance important to humans?" "Sometimes," Maya said, stepping forward with a smile. "But not as important as who someone is inside." "I'm Maya, Leo's sister." "I am Queen Nera," the alien woman replied formally. Maya laughed. "I know who you are. The question is, do you know who Leo is?" Leo felt embarrassed. "Maya, don't start." "No, this is important," Maya said, looking at Queen Nera seriously. "Your Majesty, you want to marry my brother because he saved your life. But do you know anything about him as a person?" Queen Nera considered the question. "He is brave. He risked his life for someone he did not know. He is skilled with tools and solving problems." "That's what he did," Maya said. "But who is he?" Leo watched as Queen Nera struggled with the question. "I do not understand the difference." Maya smiled and took Queen Nera's arm. "Then let's help you understand." Over the next 2 days, Maya took Queen Nera on a tour of human life. They visited Maya's apartment, where she lived with her boyfriend Tom. Queen Nera watched with fascination as the young couple cooked dinner together, laughing and talking about their plans for the future. "They are not married," Queen Nera observed, "but they act like bonded partners." "They're choosing to be together," Maya explained. "Every day, they decide they want to share their lives. That choice makes their relationship strong. But what happens if one of them stops choosing the other? Queen Nira asked. Then they separate, Tom said. It would be sad, but forcing someone to stay who doesn't want to be there would make everyone miserable. Queen Nira looked confused. That seems inefficient. How do you build stable societies if relationships can end at any time? Because most people don't want their relationships to end, Leo said. When you choose to love someone freely, you work harder to keep that love strong. The next day, they visited a human school where children were learning about different cultures from across the galaxy. The teacher, Mrs. Chen, was excited to have Queen Nira visit her class. The children asked the alien queen dozens of questions about her world and her people. Queen Nira answered patiently, but Leo could see she was surprised by their curiosity and enthusiasm. "Do you have children, Your Majesty?" a young girl asked. "No," Queen Nira replied. "I have been too busy with royal duties." "But don't you want children?" another child asked. Queen Nira paused. "I have never considered wanting them. In my empire, royal children are planned based on genetic compatibility and political alliance." The children looked confused. "But don't you want to love your children?" the first girl asked. "Love is not required for successful child rearing," Queen Nira said. "Proper education and resources are sufficient." The classroom went quiet. Even the young children could sense something was wrong with that answer. Leo knelt down next to the girl who had asked the question. "Anna, can you tell Queen Nira why your parents love you?" Anna thought for a moment. "Because I'm their daughter. They love me even when I make mistakes or when I'm sad. They take care of me because they want to, not because they have to." Queen Nira stared at the child. "Even when you provide no benefit to them?" "Especially then," Anna said seriously. "Mommy says love isn't about what you get. It's about what you give." That evening, Leo and Queen Nira sat in a park watching human families enjoy the sunset. Children played on swings while their parents talked and laughed together. Elderly couples held hands on benches, still choosing each other after decades together. "They all seem so happy," Queen Nira said quietly. "Most of them are," Leo replied. "Not all the time, because life is difficult sometimes. But they face those difficulties together because they want to." Queen Nira watched a young father pushing his daughter on a swing. Every time the child laughed, the father smiled like it was the most wonderful sound in the universe. "In my empire," Queen Nira said slowly, "we do not understand this kind of happiness. We focus on efficiency, order, logical decisions. But these humans seem to have something more. They have choice," Leo said. "The freedom to decide how to live and who to love. That freedom makes them stronger, not weaker." Queen Nira was quiet for a long time. "Leo, when you saved my life, you chose to help me even though it brought you no benefit. You risked your safety for a stranger." "Yes. But now I am forcing you to marry me, taking away your choice." Leo looked at her. "Yes." Queen Nira stood up suddenly. "I understand now why you cannot be happy with this bonding. I have been trying to create a relationship without choice, but choice is what makes your people strong." "Your Majesty." "Nira," she said. "Please call me Nira." Leo smiled. "Nira, you're not a bad person for following your laws. But maybe those laws could change." Nira nodded slowly. "Perhaps they must change. Leo, I withdraw my demand for marriage." Leo felt relief flood through him, but also something else. Over the past 3 days, he had seen Nira learning and growing, becoming more than just an alien queen following rigid laws. She was intelligent, curious, and capable of great compassion when she allowed herself to feel it. "What will happen when you return to your empire?" Leo asked. "I will face questions about why I returned without my bonded partner," Nira said. "Some will say I have dishonored our traditions. What if there was another solution?" Leo said carefully. What if instead of a husband, you took back an ambassador? Nira looked at him with surprise. An ambassador? Someone to help build understanding between humans and Zephyrians, Leo explained. Someone who could teach your people what I've been trying to teach you. Nira's purple eyes began to glow with excitement. You would come to my empire voluntarily? As your partner in building a bridge between our peoples, Leo said. Not as your husband, but as your friend and ally. Nira smiled, and Leo realized it was the first time he had seen her look truly happy. Leo of Earth, I would be honored to have you as my partner in this endeavor. 2 weeks later, Leo stood on the bridge of Nira's flagship as they approached the Zephyrian capital world. He was wearing formal diplomatic clothing instead of an engineer's uniform, and he carried credentials naming him as Earth's first ambassador to the Zephyrian Empire. Are you nervous? Nira asked. She looked more confident than she had since he met her, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. Terrified, Leo admitted. But also excited. Nira laughed, a sound that was becoming more frequent as she learned to embrace emotions instead of suppressing them. We will teach my people about choice and compassion. It will not be easy. The best things usually aren't easy, Leo said. As their ship approached the gleaming capital city, Leo thought about his sister's last words to him before he left Earth. You're not just representing humanity, Maya had said. You're showing them that love and choice make us stronger, not weaker. Leo had rescued an alien queen from a burning ship. In return, she had demanded his heart and marriage. But what they had built together was something much more valuable than either could have imagined, a friendship based on mutual respect, understanding, and the choice to make both their peoples better.